I think intuition is a developed thing, at least artistically. I don't think that was just like, this kid was born knowing how to like finish a piece of art. Like I don't subscribe to that. Trial and error, like keep pushing this. Oh, that feels good. My name's Lauren Norby. I live in Missoula, Montana. I am an artist working in a lot of different media. I do a lot of drawing, but also not confined to just drawing. I was born in Minnesota, but my family moved to Potomac, Montana when I was like 4 or 5. And I grew up there, went to University of Montana, got my bachelor's degree in visual art, went to UC Santa Barbara for my master's degree, lived in Los Angeles for a hot minute, eventually came back to Montana because it's just better here. Don't tell anybody that. I don't think there's really a time when I started making art. Creativity was always encouraged in my house. My grandfather is a successful painter and sculptor, and my parents actually were both artisans. My mom was a silversmith, and my dad did scrimshaw, which is drawing pictures on ivory. And so they actually traveled around with a Renaissance fair for many years. Somehow I'm the one that was like the artsy one. And I don't really know how that happened. Yeah, by 4th or 5th grade, this was something that like my parents were like, this is a serious thing that you're maybe gonna do. So yeah, well, other people I think have been encouraged, like, oh yeah, be a doctor or dentist or whatever. Like those words were never spoken in my house. Finished high school, and I didn't really know what I was doing, but the obvious thing was, oh, I'm gonna go to school and take art classes, and then just continue doing that for the next 7 years. I finished grad school and moved to LA. I was like walking distance to the hottest like art world, possibly in the world. I was just working shitty jobs and didn't make it like even to the gallery openings or anything. And I was like, why am I here? Like I'm not doing the thing that I'm here for, you know, let alone making or showing art. I wasn't even seeing the art that I was in such close proximity to. And yeah, I think I had this idea that I was gonna move to LA and people were gonna pay me to make art without really acknowledging that so much of my interest in art, especially in grad school, was how can I make this unsellable? You know, how can I remove the object from the artwork and just have completely objectless thing that I tell somebody about, and that is the art. There are successful artists who get paid lots of money to make that. So far, I'm not one of them. I think success to me is the ability to keep making art. I recognized that I needed to have other means of supporting myself. I started working in film in various capacities, and that I found to be kind of a good compromise. I'm still not 100% sure it's a great solution. There's a lot of creativity, and people do pay me to make their art instead of my own. I'm still working out that situation. Describe my artwork, one word. If I was given a single word to describe my artistic practice, I would use the word varied. I love learning, and I love art, but I love to dabble. I'm all over the place. Drawing provides a through line to a lot of my creative output, but not everything. I think a lot of times it's just the creative act that motivates me. I put a lot of stock in this, you know, reader theory or whatever, like that you know, the reader is completing the work of art. I don't think art is complete until it has an audience. how is this going to be perceived, and how can I upset expectations and do things differently than a person might be expecting? What can I do that takes the rules of the medium or the format or whatever I'm working within and says, you know, can we bend this a little bit? Can we expand on this, or maybe broaden somebody's idea of what art is, or what an art exhibit is, or what you're allowed to do as a painting, or whatever. I don't always have a didactic message that I'm trying to get across, and I think, you know, as an example, like I think that the drawings in this room are very, not hollow of meaning, but they're not put together with an eye toward a message. It's very much about process and having fun and hanging out with friends and doing this collaborative thing that results in these new exciting conglomerate images that we can't anticipate when we're sitting down ahead of time. And that's really a thing that I love about art making, is kind of the unanticipated results. You know, sometimes even if I don't have a specific idea for what visually is going to be the end result, I do have like an idea of maybe emotionally or like mentally, like what I want someone to take from it. And so that can drive kind of what I'm working with. I think there's a lot of intuition, and it's just like, oh, this feels done, you know, or like, can I do more? Don't do too much. I'm also into working fast and just like, I've got this idea, pull out the second guessing and some of the editor voice, and just be like, nope, just like put it there, make it a thing, make it done, see what you've got. Working on these drawings with these guys has been like really fun to work spontaneously, but also I feel like I've learned a lot about my friends' drawing techniques. Just watch other artists create and then try to figure out what pieces I can glean from them and borrow. So I guess of the six of us, I feel like 5 of us have a very distinct style and 1 of us doesn't, and that one's me. Art's really present everywhere in my life, and in terms of like my own art making, I think that it helps me process things. I make zines, which are little photocopied booklets that are, you know, self-published, and that's actually been helpful in just like kind of processing some of my thoughts about COVID-19 pandemic. I'm expressing some thoughts, and I'm like communicating about how I'm feeling, and I'm also exploring how I'm feeling. Little snapshot of like, here's where my head was in the pandemic. You know, I think that that's become a special like way of communicating with my loved ones, especially my wife. Yeah, it's actually like become reciprocal. I don't think she would call herself a visual artist. She's a writer, but for Valentine's Day, she made me a little zine, you know, and so it's like, it's become this thing that we can communicate with and, you know, express gratitude and many other things through it. I feel like I can be creative at any hour. Having a newborn baby at home has been a little bit of a challenge, and I think that like 95% of my mural for Allez was made in the short times that I had every morning between like baby falls asleep and baby's up for the rest of the day. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, sometimes I would have, you know, 60 to 75 minutes to work in the morning before my little baby monitor would be making noise, and I'd have to quick wash out some brushes and, you know, check on the baby, like, hey, you're okay, let me go finish washing this brush. Usually I'm in my pajamas, standing in front of the mural, and then like all of a sudden, oh, time to go. I think where the idea originally came from was in relation to the alleyway, and thinking about like, what is the viewer's relationship to this alleyway? And oh, you're kind of looking at something on a wall, but it's like a brick wall. Hanging a piece of art in an alley doesn't seem like, it's not our white cube that we've been trained to expect. And that kind of made me think about, like, oh, I could have like a painting of bricks, and I could have windows and somebody's looking out the windows, and from there I kind of made this leap to the Alfred Hitchcock movie Rear Window, and kind of using that setup of the Jimmy Stewart character like spying on his neighbors and seeing crimes happen. With my piece for Allez, there was more of a pointed message, and that might have stemmed from 2 years of a pandemic keeping me indoors, where some of my only company were podcasts that just talked about politics, maybe more than is healthy. And I think I reached some sort of a breaking point, and just recognizing where our planet is in terms of sustainability. I think there's a lot of systems in our world that are propping up a delusion that this is something that can be repeated forever. We can't continue to grow forever. Like whether it's 10 years from now, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, the resources on this planet are finite. But I think, everyone's got their head in the sand, and some people are more aware of this than others. But I would say 95% of the population in the US, probably more, is not acknowledging the dire circumstances that we're in, and is continuing as though we can live this way forever. And I felt like maybe it was time to shout that from the rooftop, or at least from the alleyway. New or young artists, like, just keep going, keep trying stuff. I don't know that I can even recommend the path that I've taken. Something that I've seen and responded in opposition to is artists that find a shtick really young, especially in grad school, and then they're like, this painting was popular, let me make 20 more, and then this is my thing. I hope that people like it, and I hope that they don't shit on me when I make a different painting. How do I fight this idea of an artist having a shtick that becomes their calling card, but also commenting on that same thing, and therefore also making more things that are less likely to be sold and bring me success as an artist, I guess.